Hello, friends. Hello, my lovers, my friends, my podcast listeners. It's your girl, Liv. We are back in the Meat and Monogamy hot seat for another episode today. And I'm really happy to be here. I'm really happy to be connecting with you. Thank you for listening. For those of you that listen on a regular basis, it's wonderful to have you. I see, our regular listeners, and I love it. And it's really just nice to know that there's this other way to connect with all of you. I really love doing this podcast. And if you are finding us for the first time, then welcome. It is really lovely to have you. And this episode today is going to be a little bit of going back down memory lane, all around the theme of desire. And I'm going to be introducing Desire 2.0. So very excited about this. And interestingly, when I sat down to record just a few moments ago, I tried to speak and I was like, oh God, I need to get my voice ready. I need to do some singing. I need to do some kind of vocal exercises here to my voice just felt so quiet and strained and tired. And I was like, this is a big conversation today. I got to get ready. So I just did a bit of singing. My go-to is Natalie Imbruglia's Torn. I love singing that song. I haven't sung it in ages. And oh my gosh, I was so rusty. It was like a rusty old car chugging along the road. But thankfully, I'm not a singer, but I am a podcaster. So my podcasting voice is just fine. So welcome back. I hope that you're having a great week wherever you are listening to this. So Desire 2.0 is the topic du jour today. Very, very excited. We're really going to speak about what happens when desire grows up. Maybe some of you listeners are some of my OG people, because originally, let's say 9 years ago, maybe 10, but I think maybe 9. Yeah, I think it was about 9 years ago, 2017, we're now in 2026. Desire was really central to my work, and it has continued that way, but it was the real starting point for my path in myself as a woman. And it was also just so important to me to teach about desire. I just felt extremely strongly that I was supposed to, and that this medicine of desire needed to be out there in the way that I believed I could teach it. So that is what I did. And so many of you have been with me for that time. And, I've had many programs over the years that have taught about desire, and I have spoken very publicly and widely about my own journey with desire. So I'm going to touch on a little bit of those things today, but it has been a real central philosophy. And it's been evolving and changing over the last few years. And I feel sort of finally ready to put it to words. This was inspired by a coaching session I was having yesterday with one of my longest clients. And she asked me a question about desire, and it really was interesting to hear my response. I was like, oh, this is actually really updated, and this is kind of 2.0 version. That's what my client called it. And I realized I've been wanting to talk about this for quite some time, and now what better time than now to speak about it. So, one of the things that has been so central to my teachings around desire has been to trust your desire. That's been a big one. And really also listening to your longings, listening to your desires. There's a lot to be learned from learning how to hear desire. And I will say that for many women that I have worked with over the years, and I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of women on desire, it has been my sort of one of the key things I've worked with over the years. And it has been very, very impactful and transformational for many of you, right? It is one of those things that you it stays with you. It stays with you as a sort of a tool of awakening and a tool of being able to guide your life, because one of the teachings is desire becomes your compass. And so it becomes the thing that guides your life. And that is extremely powerful message for women, especially women that have, for whatever reason, whether that's, a cultural experience or just being a woman in general, we have been often taught that desire is wrong, shameful, bad, too much. Um, and often desire sort of lives underground, even in the most subtle ways. And so it's very powerful to speak. And a lot of the work that I've done over the years with women has been to really allow you to get into a relationship intimately with your desire and understand it. And it allows you to wake up to a life that's, really meant for you specifically. Your desire is so unique to you. And every woman has their own relationship to their desire. And it is, like I still believe every word of that. I still believe that trust your desire. I still believe listen to it. I still believe let it be your compass. And for me, over the past couple of years, I've been in building a long-term partnership. I moved back to my roots after living in Paris. I'm rebuilding my business. I'm also preparing for motherhood, and I am pregnant. So I have recently announced that widely to the world through my socials and emails and things. So, but I haven't talked about it in the pod, and I'm not really going to focus on that today. But yes, I am pregnant. So if you didn't know that, welcome to the pregnancy party. I am preparing for motherhood. I am halfway through my pregnancy. And so, desire is so top of my attention right now. And with all the things I've been going through over the last few years and growing through, things have been shifting. As we grow through life, we change our perspective on things. We mature. We get more information. We gather more wisdom along the way. And for me, it's about desire growing up. Like, not that desire is less important in our lives, but actually that desire matures. That's what I believe. Desire matures. So I'm going to speak about this today. Okay. So I want to start by speaking about why I trusted desire so completely, like why desire was so transformational for me. Okay. Just having a little fight with my light here. It's just, sorry for any additional sound here. So, before I tell you kind of how this has changed for me, I want to just kind of paint the picture of the backstory here, because I think it's really important for me to honor what desire has given me. It's given me a lot. Okay. Because if I hadn't trusted my desire, right, I would never have left it the sort of expected path for me. I've always been an unconventional kind of woman. Yeah, always been the case since I was young. I've never really been able to follow the kind of linear step-by-step path that maybe has been more resonant and like successful for other people. I've always been a creature of the margins, somebody that, was always going to do things a little bit different. That's always been me. And I know that lots of my clients, lots of the people that listen are kind of the same. Like, I do tend to attract the misfits of the world, right? We're not quite of the normal folk, let's say. And it's not to say we're special or different. We just tend to be seekers of what's alternatively available. Like, we tend to not accept the status quo of like what life could look like. And so if I hadn't trusted my desire, I would never have left the expected path. I would never have become a coach, a teacher, a mentor, a guide, because I would have probably stayed being a charity CEO and stayed in that like good career path. I probably would have been like, yep, okay. But it was desire that actually shook the cage of my life and was like, on like a deeper level, you're not satisfied with this. This has become a mask, and there's more for you, and you have to be willing to let things go in order to have that. And so I walked away from my first big career, which was I was running a nonprofit, and I started this business, like the first iteration of my desire coaching business that was supporting women with desire. I was actually women, men, and couples at that time. I would never have done that. I would never have started my own business. I would never have moved to Paris. I moved to Paris at the end of 2020, kind of right in the heart of the pandemic. I wouldn't have met so many people who have like deeply shaped my life. I wouldn't have had the courage to leave jobs, relationships, identities that like were no longer true and fitting. Desire has been one of the greatest gifts of my life, deeply, deeply the greatest gifts. And I think it's been also the greatest gift, like one of the greatest gifts in my coaching, in what I've been able to offer. You, right? So many women arrive into my rooms disconnected from themselves. And, you tend to really know like what everyone is expecting of you and what you should be doing. You have a lot of like knowledge of should look like this, should be this, should da da da. But you've forgotten what you actually want. And so helping women connect to their desire has truly been some of the most meaningful work I've ever done. And it brings people back to life. Desire is this like beautiful, igniting energy of aliveness that brings people back to life, and it connects you with what's possible, and it reminds you that another life is available. It wakes us up. Like desire is an awakening tool. And something interesting started to happen in my own relationship with desire, right? I realized that desire will get you somewhere often. It doesn't always, right? Because desire is also about not being focused on the outcome of something. So desire will get you somewhere often, though, because it's powerful. Desire is powerful. It will shift the needle in your life. It will create things. You will take risks. You will grow and become using the fuel of desire. I've seen it time and time again, hundreds of case studies, hundreds and hundreds of women I've seen and walked you through this. And I've also done it for myself, first and foremost. And I've been inspired by many, many women, many, many, many of my teachers and coaches over the years. So it does get you often somewhere new. It's an exciting way to live. It will like shift things. And it doesn't automatically teach you how to live there. That is a different tool. And so that has been something that I have been really sitting with. Okay. Because like once desire has helped you maybe build a beautiful life or arrive somewhere or perhaps get into a relationship, right? You will often find that there's another invitation just sat right there that is nothing to do with desire that you have to attend to. And this is sort of the next piece. Okay. So are you with me? Are you with me right now as I speak about this? And I'm so curious on what other people think about this as well. So as we kind of mature and grow, life does tend to get more interconnected. And this is where desire is interesting, right? Because you aren't, at certain stages of life. So there's one thing like being a single woman with no responsibilities that involves sort of other people. I think for me, before I was in partnership and preparing for motherhood, the biggest place I learned this was actually building a business, because yes, you can use desire to build your business, and you can like, I desire this, I have this mission, I'm following it, it's like deeply resonating with me, but you have to learn how to be a CEO and be a business owner and the skills of that job. It's not enough to just desire it, right? You have to learn how to be that person, live it, become that person. Okay. So desire will only get you so far. So, for example, like, it's very different to be a woman on the path who's just following her desire and doing everything that she wants just for her. And you could stay living like that. There's really nothing wrong with it. But I do find that at some point, women do start desiring to become more interconnected with others. So, ways in which I've done this is building my business. As I said, it's desiring deep relationships with my family. That's been a massive piece of work for me. And a lot of you ask me those questions a lot because a lot of you really know how much I value family. So I get that question a lot, right? Like, what is it like to care for your aging parents? What is it like to move home and like be around your family? Like, that was a decision for me that was very desire filled, to like come back, leave Paris, come and live back in the UK in rural England and live near my family. Desire got me here. Some different set of skills had me stay here and learn how to live and relate to my family, right? Desire is only going to get me so far. Okay. So for you, like, maybe you're in a partnership, perhaps you're building a business. Like, maybe you're like me, maybe you've moved home, maybe you're caring for loved ones, perhaps you're in like early parenting, motherhood. Maybe you've bought a home, like you're stewarding a property. And with that is a lot of expansion. Like, life becomes bigger than you, and that expansion brings with it responsibility. And for me, I noticed that following desire or following every desire used to feel very freeing, right? Because I kind of could just go wherever it took me. And then somewhere along the way, like, following desire and that being the most important thing started to feel different. Like, it was less freeing and it was more avoiding certain discomforts, right? And that's not because there was anything wrong with desire, but being in a relationship, I have to consider another person. Commitments, I'd consciously chosen certain commitments, and there was like dreams that I wanted to bring into reality, and these responsibilities and these things like really, really mattered to me. And so it wasn't just about me choosing for myself anymore, right? I was tending a life. And that was really a big shift, right? Like, the difference between tending a life, like a real life with roots and building blocks and many, 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 many components and many people involved. Okay. Like, that was a big, big shift, or has been a big shift. I feel like I'm sort of still going through it. Okay. So this interconnectedness sort of changes the frame. Okay. So probably the biggest thing I want to offer today in sharing all of this is that you can honor a desire without immediately obeying it. Okay. Because I love this distinction, because I think for so long, I really believe that there are only two options. You either follow your desire or you've betrayed yourself. And I just don't believe that that's true anymore. Yeah. Sometimes a desire arrives and it's like asking to be acknowledged, to be witnessed, to be welcomed, and perhaps it's just a part of us. And we don't really know how that's going to evolve. And it isn't often demanding immediate attention or action, right? So, an example, like, maybe you desperately wanted to move abroad. Maybe you want to start a business. Perhaps you're like fucking hungry. You're like, I want to be a business owner. Like, I've always wanted to be a business owner. Maybe you want a baby. Maybe you want to be a mother and you want a baby. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you want to just finally rest and like take a big old juicy sabbatical and like just take your shoes off and just hang up your boots and like take a fucking break. Like, maybe you're just desperate, want to leave your job and you hate your job and you want to leave it and you just like really feel that desire. But a question I think is more mature is not like, how quickly can this happen? But like, what is this desire trying to show me? right? Because sometimes, and I think this is where desire gets very nuanced, and I think it can be very intelligent, very useful, is sometimes desire is pointing towards a future season that hasn't quite emerged yet. Like sometimes it's revealing a need that perhaps has been neglected. Sometimes it's like just inviting you into a conversation, right? Sometimes it's asking you to grieve something. Like sometimes it's asking you, it really is asking you to act. And it's like, now's the time. Okay. Like, but not always. And I think desire isn't just instructing you, it's information. And like wisdom and maturity in learning how to work with your desire is learning how to work with that information. And another way that I have found this to be really helpful is it's sometimes not about fulfillment. I mean, actually, a lot of the time with desire, it's not about fulfillment. It's actually about something asking to be heard, something asking to be alive inside of you. And I think that that's incredibly freeing. Like, can we hear our desire? Can we acknowledge all these different parts of us? Like, I'm in a relationship now, and there's so many parts of me, right? Like, I'm such a dynamic, internally complex woman. And I mean that in like a pretty normal way. I don't mean I'm like some special, complicated, like, oh my God, I'm like so different. But I am, my partner's like, you're definitely the most like unusual woman I've ever met, like keeps it interesting, right? I am a very particular kind of person. I don't think there's anything particularly unusual about me because I tend to be surrounded by people that are very similar in that sense of like, I'm very attracted to kinds of women that do have many parts and layers and access to those parts and layers. And like, I do have a lot of access to my, like many different sides of myself. And discernment is also knowing like which part of me to bring to a relationship or a particular part of our relationship, right? So when we're thinking about building a family and having a child together, I would love to just have things exactly my way and like do the pregnancy and the birth and everything exactly my way and have no other input and have no one around and and just do it how I want to do it. But that's kind of the old way. Like the new version of myself is learning how to do that in collaboration and partnership with another human being who I love and respect. And it is our life together. It is also my life and it is our life together. We have chosen to do it together. Okay. And so that requires me to co-create with my desire, not dominate with my desire. Right. And so this is, in recent years, a big part of my work that I'm doing with women now is really supporting you through building deep trust with yourself, building self-trust, like self-trust being that you can trust yourself and back yourself and understand why you are making the decisions you're making and understand why you may be feeling or responding in the way you're feeling. Understand why your life looks how it looks currently. And this self-trust piece is really powerful because a woman who trusts herself is going to have a much easier time leading her life. Okay. So I think trust is a really key sort of missing piece in the work that I've really identified and built. And that's so for example, if you're interested in working with me, the first program I offer one-to-one is called The Comeback. And it's a deep program around restoration and restoring your self-trust. And it has amazing results and an impact on the women that go through the program because it influences everything in your life. Like you establish a trusting relationship with yourself. And desire is a part of this. It's like also trusting your desire and learning what that like looks and smells and feels like, but it's bigger than that. And so self-trust and trusting and creating the space to guide you back to trust is a big part of the introductory work now that I do with my women. And then when we have worked on building that trust as a foundation, we then do stewardship work. And stewardship is really this has really changed a lot for me. And I keep coming back to this word because I think that it's it really like captures for me what it is. And it's not even a really sexy word. It's not particularly like a glamorous word at all, but it's, we don't really hear it very often. Okay. Like I think we hear it in the context of nature and stewarding the land, which I love because I love using the metaphor of nature in my work. I think that it's really useful. Um, you know, I I really am a woman of the earth. And so I really do find kind of creating, living, being in a seasonal, cyclical, reverent way to be the most resonant. So stewardship kind of reminds me of that. But I think it's actually a really beautiful word. And it means like caring well for the life you've already created. And oh God, I just love it. Like, and it's also about like when you care well for the life you've already created, that is a very rich and fertile environment for more things that you want to grow. Okay. So, for example, desire creates things, desire creates businesses, relationships, family, home. Like, desire is a creative tool, right? But once we birth those things into the world, someone has to care for them. Someone has to tend to them, someone has to maintain them, and someone has to like love them consistently and keep them alive. And that to me is stewardship. And I really believe that's what adulthood really asks of us. And it's not to stop desiring, but it's like becoming capable of holding everything our desires have created. And so often in my work, you come to me and you just want more, more, more. And you're like really urgently trying to change your life or create something in your life or like get the answers as quickly as possible. And you are completely like like not smelling the roses of the life you currently have and receiving the life you currently have. You just want to change your life. And like I have found, and this is like the wisdom of the work that I have done, like so much more will change in a sustainable way when you can receive, maintain, tend to, love, and care what you already have and develop those skills. Okay. And this is for me where I find myself. Like I find myself in a lot more stewardship of my life, tending, maintaining, like slowly growing, not growing in these like fast, urgent ways anymore. Cause when I was just had desire at the helm, there was a lot of growth, very intense, a lot of, desires like changing direction all the time. I'm following it and like things are kind of rapidly changing. And I didn't have great stewardship skills. And now I have better stewardship skills and I have more maturity and self-leadership. And that's like the second part of what I lead my women through one-to-one. It's the second program I offer, the graduate program that comes after the comeback. It's all about self-leadership, stewardship, that mature tending, growing your life. Okay. And so I want to be careful here that this isn't like me preaching that, oh, you need to be really sensible now. You don't take any risks. Don't follow desire. Be really practical. Right. That's like not what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying stop dreaming. I'm not saying ignore what you want. I'm not saying be more practical, right? It's kind of the opposite of what I'm saying. I'm saying desire still really matters. It deserves our attention. It changes our lives. But I no longer think that desire is the thing that carries everything, right? Like it sits alongside wisdom. It sits alongside responsibility and the right timing and trust and partnership and care. And so it becomes richer. Like it becomes a richer plate, like a palette and a plate, right? So as I reflect on all of this, and I'm so curious on your thoughts on this, right? This isn't just something I've been living in my own life. This is something I've been coaching on. If any of you've worked with me over the last year or two, like I've been coaching on this again and again and again and again. Different conversations, different women, different circumstances. I love my women so much. I love coaching you. And, it's the same invitation every time. It's like, not what do I want? It's how do I become the woman that can hold what I want? Like really and truly. And I think that I'm able to do this so much more deeply with my women now because of what I have personally gone through in my own journey. Like, I have so much more skill in this in my own life. So therefore I can really go there with you in a way that I couldn't before because I hadn't gone there fully in this way. Right. So, and I think this is really kind of the next chapter of my work. And it's interesting, this is like coming as I'm pregnant and about to become a mother. And like, by the end of the year, I have a baby. Like, it's just so miraculous and wild. But as I go through this massive transformation, that of course was very desire led. I've been speaking about motherhood and my desire for family and the tenderness of my desire for a baby for many, many, many years. And I have not shied away from sharing that. And it's for any of you that know that experience. I know so many women, go through this, and I've heard you and listened to you as well. Expressing that desire to have a baby or become a mother or build a family with someone, however it's being expressed to you. I'm really focusing on the like becoming a mother element of this, because that feels really true for the experience I'm having. Like, it's so interesting that, of course, like so much of my learning right now and the things that are working me in my own life are around like holding the life that I've built and like holding myself in this pregnancy and holding the vision for what this is going to happen and completely surrendering to all that's out of my control, not being attached to, anything really, because none of it's really in my control, but I can steward and manage and care and tend to myself and my family and my life and my home. Like, that is what I can do. That is responsibility. That is stewardship. That is love, right? And that is what I care about. Okay. And I think this makes desire even more beautiful because it gives desire a home, like a proper home. And desire still leads me. I don't think it ever won't, but there's like this way that it now lives in relationship to so many other things. And desire isn't a way to judge or manage like how open I am or how like how well I'm doing in life. Am I manifesting all my desires? Like, actually, the life I have today is more than enough, and I can tend and steward and care for that life. I think this is actually like a really liberating, it's been very liberating for me in my journey. So we are, we're at the end. That's all I have to say today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I really would. It's sort of, an evolving perspective for me, but I'm also, I'm already coaching women on this. Like, this is already getting great results in my clients. Like, they are really taking this in and it's been very helpful to distinguish this. Excuse my sneezing. So some of you have asked, am I still working? Am I still available? The answer is yes. So we are currently in August and I'm going to be working up until December. And I am opening up 6 final spots before I go on my maternity leave. So I have spots available for the comeback, which is my first introductory coaching program. This is the self-trust restoration program. This is really, really, really life-changing work, and it's super digestible. So this is a program that's, I run my programs one-to-one. So each program is really designed for you personally. So you get like a personal tailored program. And so if you're new to me, you've not worked with me before, and you feel like building your foundation of trust in yourself as you go through, I'm sure, one or many transitions and thresholds right now, because pretty much everybody I know is going through something. This is amazing support, wisdom, returning home to yourself. Like, my clients describe this as like the practices I give you and the way that I guide you back to yourself. Like, it really has you keep attending to your life and going back and looking at all these places. Like, what would it look different if I actually trusted myself here? And then the second program I offer, and this is for women that have worked with me before or are graduates of the comeback, and you're ready for stewardship. You're ready to start stewarding your life, stewarding all that you've created. This is about leadership. This is about maintenance and care and skill building. This is really great for you if you're, in a relationship, or you're building a business, or you've got like a creative thing that's coming through, or, you're in any kind of place in life where you're like ready to really develop your stewardship skills. This is the second container I offer. This is this kind of step up from the comeback. And so they're both available. So depending on where you are location wise, those are my options currently, and you can read a bit more about them on my website. And so if you're ready and you want to have a conversation, and you think that you're one of the 6 that I am supposed to be leading and coaching and guiding over the next few months before I go and have my baby, the next step, the first step, is to book a 75-minute deep dive. These are paid sessions. These are paid one-to-one, one-offs with me. These are like strategy sessions where you get my love, guidance, and I will tell you exactly how I will work with you. And so you will share with me, this is where I'm at, and we'll work through like, what is the core pattern? Like, what is the thing in the way? What is it that you're wanting to build, create, move through? And then I will apply my framework, my perspective, my work. I will tell you exactly, like, these are the things that we will work on together in the time. And this is like how that will unfold. And so again, women find these really powerful because I do coach you in those sessions. You really get to feel me. And they are £111, and they're sort of worth their weight in gold, really. Like, you really get so much from that session. And so I will then in that session tell you exactly like what the next steps of the work will look like. So the containers are available and raring to go, and there are 6 spots. So if you feel like this is 100% the thing I'm looking for, and you know me and you trust me and you're resonating with me, or you want to get in there and just see like, am I for you? Book your deep dive. Like, that is the place to start. You will find the link to do that in the show notes. Okay. All right, friends. Thank you so much for listening. If you got this far, I am really excited to see who's coming along for this next ride. And even if you're not quite ready for one-to-one work with me in this season, but you have some thoughts on this topic today, please let me know. I would love to hear from you. All right. Take care, my loves. Bye-bye.